Hi, everybody. My name is Daisy Pilarda, and this is my presentation on digital evidence. I am actually a computer technician, so this is probably my third time recording this, so I gotta keep it quick. Try not to get distracted. So digital forensics began in the 1970s. At the time, it was called computer forensics, but in the 1980s, that changed. And in the 1980s, they also started offering training in regards to digital forensics. And it is now referred to as digital forensics because digital devices are becoming more prominent. And when we say digital, we mean mobile devices. Um, Clearly, everybody has a phone, so we all can relate to that. The active practice of digital crime investigations began in the late 1970s as law enforcement began to realize the possibilities computers held to assist in the perpetration of crime and storage of evidence. The first efforts at electronic forensics targeted computers that were suspected to store incriminating evidence. A cool little short story. There was actually a murder here in Alaska like 2 months ago, and a bystander walking down the street found a flash drive, wanted to be nice, plugged it in, was going to look and see if she could get like the person's information, literally found all the evidence to a murder and went and turned it into the police, and they went and caught some guy. It was super crazy. So you'd be surprised what you can find on any electronic storage device or any computer. Just gee whiz, fun story. So I say then versus now. I lumped this category together. I say then versus now because, like it says at the first bullet, technology has expanded greatly over the last few decades. So much has changed that it is literally hard to keep track. Especially as a computer technician, sometimes it can intimidate a lot of people from our field because it's not kind of like a learn it and you're done with it. It's a you're constantly learning. So we constantly have to study. Um, as it grows, we must be constantly learning and trying to stay ahead in order to be able to understand it. Super true. Mobile devices were not a thing of the past. Now they are the most popular items. We say that now. I threw that in there. It seems like obvious, but it changed everything. It opened the floodgates for data collection. Um, Back in the day, it was more about like storage and, what are people putting out there on the internet. But now, mobile devices actually enable us to, literally find your physical location if we need to, especially in the event of an emergency. So there is that. Um, Requirements for properly obtaining digital evidence are still evolving. It's always going to be because so long as technology is evolving, all of our protocols, procedures, legislation, everything, it's all going to continue to evolve. And to be honest with you, in some cyber crimes, for example, cyberbullying, I personally don't feel like we are as caught up as we should be. Um, in the 1980s, computer forensics would have been an appropriate term, but due to the rise in digital devices such as smartphones that are not considered computers, digital forensics is the correct term. With mobile devices that can be carried on the user's person and can transmit data within seconds globally, the requirements for investigations of these devices has changed along with the terminology. Yes, yes, yes. Super important. You have to remember that protocols are constantly changing. So don't rely on something that you knew like 2 years ago. Um, I know this because I've extracted data for an investigation before, and you really do have to be careful. It was a super long time ago, but you have to be really careful about those protocols because they are always changing. Um, Current standard for analysis. Coming from me personally, the current standard for like evidence doesn't really change because the evidence is pretty like straightforward, but it's all about the data collection technique. So the first bullet must not be used only as an exploration device. There are specific protocols in place to extract evidence. So you typically already know what you're looking for when you go into a computer. You're not going to go into a computer for no reason. There are exceptions to this in the event of a really crazy scenario, but those don't come as often as you think. So yeah, you can't just like explore someone's computer looking for something to push against them. That's not really how that works. Investigators must be prepared to adapt because technology is constantly changing. Yes, no matter how I could write that 50 times and it still would not bear the weight that it needs to. Just as a computer technician, it literally is always changing, and you have to, if you're not willing to adapt, then it is going to take off without you. Evidence extracting techniques will differ according to device type. This is important. Protocols are really important. I can keep saying it. I'll kick the wall, kick the table to push the point there. But you have to follow those protocols, because if you don't do it right, it can't be used in court. There haven't been any particular shifts in how this evidence is perceived, because the evidence doesn't really shift. It's the method of collection and through what type of device or network that is constantly changing. So I say that because the evidence is usually clear and concise. If there's a video of you doing it, there's a video of you doing it. However, if I have incriminating evidence on my computer because I did something bad, and let's say I went and deleted it, right, and it's super gone, nothing is ever really gone. Coming from a computer technician, nothing is ever really gone, unless you've like rewrote over the data a million times, which I won't get lost in that. But what I mean is there are recovery software programs that are out there. And it's really important to make sure it's accredited, approved, whatever word you want to put in there. Because if it's not, if you just get a whatever software recovery program, let's say it works, and you find some really interesting stuff and you bring it to court, if you cannot prove that that software that you use to extract the data is accredited, approved, or whatever, what have you, that all that evidence that you found will not be able to be used in court. And so I put here at the bottom, as cited in the reading, the Information Systems Audit and Control Association credits the forensic tools available today to the open source community-driven model, which makes tool evolution modular, extensible, robust, and sustainable. That is, innovations by the greater technological community that helped law enforcement's digital forensic tools keep pace with the innovation of digital criminals. There is approved softwares out there. So I don't know if any of you are going into that or wanting to be forensic, whatever, but use them. They are there for your disposal, and not all the times will your company or your lab or wherever you're working at know about them. That's a fact. Uses in the investigation and in court. So I put them together because the court one I just feel like is kind of simple. But as for investigation, IP addresses can be used to locate criminals and victims. If you don't know what an IP address is, once you turn on your computer and it's hooked to your Wi-Fi and you have a clear connection, you will have a super identifiable IP address, which it doesn't necessarily give a physical location. It gives your location on the network, which is a gateway to a lot of other data. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to go too far into it. Sometimes photo evidence can be found in a computer. That happens way more than you'd think. Refer back to random flash drive found in the middle of the street. Warrants are required to retrieve this data, and if there isn't one, the evidence will be admissible. Like I said, most of the time you already know what you're looking for, and you need a warrant to go into the computer in the first place. If there is a warrant, all information recovered from the device regarding a crime will be used against the defendant. Yes. So if somebody comes to me with a computer and says, hello, we're trying to charge this person with child pornography, I follow protocols to look for that. And it'll be provided by whoever usually is coming to you, or however it works. I don't know how it works on the civilian side, but in the military, they give me the protocol and then I follow it. And I stay within those guidelines and then extract data of what they want. That's how it works for us. Proper data collection protocols must be followed, or the evidence will not be able to be used in court. No matter how many times I say that, it's not stressed enough. You have to follow the protocols. Oh, sorry, I missed my quote. Let me go back. Continuing education is essential for the digital investigator. Even so, it is not possible for a digital forensic investigator to have technical knowledge and training in all areas of investigations. That is so true. It is so true. You have to constantly learn. Nobody knows everything. I always tell people, especially my airmen, because they kind of like when they first get in, they're like, I know everything. And I always tell them, it's not, you know, this is not a contest. We're a team and we fill in each other's blanks. You can't know everything. I'm not Google. That's what I tell people. In 2000, the U.S. Air Force Captain Marty Thier was murdered in North Carolina. The question was who killed him? Ooh, I don't know what happened. Upon questioning neighbors of the Thiers, police discovered that there was a marital discord between the two. This information led to the hypothesis that Marty Thier's wife, Michelle Thier, had a hand in his murder. Police then obtained a warrant to search Michelle's computer. Officers uncovered emails between her and the U.S. Army Staff Sergeant John Diamond that revealed evidence of a sexual relationship and documentation of conspiracy to commit murder. Both Diamond and Thier are now serving life sentences for Captain Thier's murder. I just want to say real quick that even though that sounds like they just searched around in her computer, that's probably not what happened. Typically, if there's a relationship, it's pretty obvious, like check emails, check text, check IMs, just saying. Challenges for digital evidence in court. Not all data collection software is accurate. Now, I say that because, like I said, not all software is accredited or approved or whatever it is that you want to put with it. Lack of knowledge by the investigator can compromise data. If somebody has like an ego thing, it happens sometimes, especially in the IT field. If they are not willing to continue to learn, that can cause a barrier. And if that barrier compromises data, boom, you can't use it in court. Information can be easily missed during data collection. Yes, you'd be surprised how many people who don't follow protocols don't end up looking in all the right places. They miss data, and then therefore it won't work out. As cited during trial, the state argued that digital evidence about that. So as cited by Goodison, Davis, and Jackson, I can't believe I missed that. During trial, the state argued that digital evidence would prove Anthony searched for information on various homicide-related issues on the day her daughter was last seen. Most of the evidence focused on internet browser searches. Digital investigators initially used software that would later be found to be highly inaccurate. So this is in regards to the Casey Anthony case. And yes, that software actually ended up saying that she searched homicidal searches way many more times than she really did. And so it was admissible in court, and that kind of put room for reasonable doubt there. So just food for thought. Not saying I don't know if she was guilty or not, because I wasn't there. I didn't do all the stuff, but it's just something worth thinking about, because now that was canceled out, look where we are now. What would have happened if the data was extracted correctly and properly used against her? Who knows? And then here are my references. Sorry about that little pause in my narrative. I got tripped up because I didn't have that proper citation in there. That was super weird. But anyways, I am a computer technician. I have definitely extracted data before for not anything serious, nothing crazy, probably just a stupid email. It was a long time ago, but I mean, it's pretty easy to do that stuff, at least in my opinion. So if you have questions about it, it's super funny that I got this topic. But if you have questions about it, I can do my best to answer or get you an answer. I have a lot of technicians at my disposal. So if you're just curious about something random, throw your question in the bottom and I'll be super happy to answer them. Have a wonderful night. Thank you, everyone.